I have downloaded the UCLA in-class architectural model to my desktop. So I'm just going to double click this Revit file and it should open up in Revit 2016. Hopefully you've got that downloaded on your computer. A notice comes up saying that this was made in an earlier version of Revit. Yes, we're going to upgrade the model. You'll find that this happens a lot. Architects will send you a model that will be in an older version than you may have, and so it has to go through this one-time upgrade process, which depending on the size of the model can take a lot of time. But the good news is that once you upgrade it once and then you save that file, you no longer, next time you open it, it won't have to go through that upgrade process. Here you see we're in a 3D view of this simple building, and basically we have our our viewing window here. Then we have our properties window docked to the left, all our different tabs across the top, and then our project browser here on the right. If you ever need to have, if you're missing some of these windows or want to add more, you can go to the View tab, and then under User Interface, you can turn on and off different windows here. So you can make sure that the Properties bar is on, for instance. And so here we have our model, and you can change the way things are selected. So usually by default when you first open up Revit, this setting is unchecked, which means when you click on something in the middle of a face, nothing will select, but if you click on the edge of it, that's when it will select. And this kind of is annoying for me sometimes, so I like to change that setting. So on the far left there's the modify button, and right below it it says select, and so if you click on select elements by face, check that box. Now when you click on something, you just have to select that face instead of the edge. And you notice every time I click a new item, the properties for that item shows up, and there's all sorts of good information associated with each new item. So now we have the model. We want to look at it and be able to get around it. And so the Viewcube is one real good way to get around the model. You'll notice if you click on any of these surfaces, it will align to that surface. So you can click on corners and edges, and it jumps to that preset standard view. So that's one way to get around. The other way is to click and drag, left click and drag on this Viewcube. You can orbit around, kind of more of a free orbit. That's one way to get around as well. What I like to do though is use the keyboard and mouse shortcuts. And so if you click your mouse wheel and hold it down, and that brings you into pan mode. So as you're holding down the clicked mouse wheel, you can move around the project. If you just scroll up and down with the mouse wheel, that zooms in and out to wherever your mouse is. And then if you hold down shift and then click and hold your mouse wheel and move around, that is to orbit. And one note on orbit, it will orbit around whatever is selected. That's what it will center on. So if I click this window and then orbit, that window stays right in the center. If I click the roof, that's what stays right in the center as I orbit. So by zooming, panning, and orbiting, you can pretty well get around your model. Now, one other setting that you'll want to set in the beginning when you first get a model is making sure the project units are correct. So if you go under the Manage tab, and then you can click on Project Units, You'll see here you can click on each category. So if we go into length, I want to have decimal feet into the nearest 2 decimal places, and the unit symbol is off, none. You can go down to area, square feet. I'll keep it at 0 decimal places. I'm going to change the unit symbol to none. The reason we want none is when you're exporting quantities from Revit into Excel, you don't want to have an SF right after the number, because Excel won't read that cell as a number anymore. It'll read it as text, so you won't be able to sum values as well. So that's the reason why I turn that off. And then volume, usually we're concerned with concrete volume, and so we want to have cubic yards as our unit for volume. So the rest is okay, and we'll hit OK. And so that right there is getting around the model.